What's up, everybody? This is Frost Gamble. You're checking out Chop Sessions on Dynamic Producer TV. Today I'm here with a legendary producer, DJ, and industry tastemaker, DJ Clark Kent. What's good, man?
Wow. Legendary. That's pretty serious words there. I hope my interview can size up those words. I think if you use legendary, I just use that word on the DJ part. Everything else, I'm still a work in progress, but I'm definitely a pretty good DJ.
I would agree, man. I think you are a pretty accomplished dude. I've been a fan for a long time, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you.
It's all good.
All right, man. So let's get into it. You produced for some really big names: 50 Cent, Rakim, Slick Rick, Mariah Carey, Rick Ross. But before we get into all of that, I'd like to talk a little bit about your start in the music industry. I understand you started out as DJ for a legendary old school MC, Dana Dane.
Yeah, but I don't think that would be my entrance to the music business, because DJs are like influential in the music business. I've been a DJ since I was 9, so I would have to say that's when I got into music itself. But I got into music business when I was 14, when I realized that there was a way to make money at being a DJ, and that's when the business comes in.
Okay, that's what's up. So,
but yeah, I also was Dana Dane's DJ.
So, what was that like? Were you touring, going all over the place? What was that experience like?
Dana Dane's first show was at a high school called Washington Irving, and it's funny enough, my sister used to go to that school, and they were having this show, and I was providing the music for the show, and Dana Dane comes to perform, and he goes, "Yo, can you throw these records on for me?" And I did, and after it was over, he was like, "Yo, you were perfect. You want to be my DJ?" And I was like, I mean, it's cool. We'll see what happens. And from that point, like it might have been 2 days later, we were doing shows.
Wow. So was the album already recorded at this point, or were you?
Oh no. It was one record done, and then we went in the studio with Hurry Love Bug and made all the other records.
So you were there for Dana Dane with Fame, Nightmares?
Every record.
Damn.
Every record.
Okay. That's crazy.
It was the cool part about Dana was that as soon as I became his DJ, he practically made me half of Dana Dane. And I will always look back and go, that was really cool of him. He didn't treat me like I was just this guy behind the turntables. He paid attention to if I liked a record. He paid attention to what I thought. And respectfully, I say I salute him for that, because he didn't have to. He could have just made his records, and we could have just did shows together.
That's beautiful, man. But at that point that you hooked up with him, was he still working with Slick Rick, or was this past the time that they went, on their solo path?
Well, they never made records together. They were, back in the days, a rap group called the Kango Crew, and they were definitely still friends. There was definitely still a Kango Crew element between them and other guys, the other 3 guys. But when it came to making records, Slick Rick was making his records and Dana was making his records, but there was always still a great friendship behind them, probably still to this day.
Okay, very cool. So a couple of years later, I think the first official placement you had was the Spread My Wings remix for Troop. How did you get the opportunity to get involved in that?
I was very, very good friends with Marilyn Bob, and he gave me the chance to remix this record, and I went to the studio, and that's what happened. That was the history of what it was. He was a friend, and we DJ'd on the same radio station, WBLS, and he was like, "Can you remix?" And I said yes, and he let me. He let me remix the record.
So
the good part, the lucky part is that I had a hit right out the gate, because if I didn't have a hit, I don't know what would have happened.
Yeah, it was a big record. You felt like things were really, taking off. Were you? What was that experience like at that time?
It's funny because media-wise, what you learn now is so much different than what you learned before. What you learn now is if you make one good record, because of the way the computers are and the way that the internet drives things, you can make one record and all of a sudden be a super producer. Like back in the days, you really had to work. You had to do as much as possible. And you always had to be hustling, trying to get the next record. And if you didn't make a hit, it was even harder to do the hustle. So now, you know, you make a record and all of a sudden somebody can go to your website and ask you for tracks. There was no websites. We had to be going from door to door asking, yo, what's up with let me remix that record. And, you know, the experience for me, luckily, was pretty good and pretty seamless, because once you make a hit, back in those days, they a lot of other companies, the way that they came across new producers or new remixes or whatsoever was, who did the last good one? And I did a good one, so I got to do a bunch of them after that. Okay. So it was luckily I had a good record, and it set me up pretty easily, properly. And me being a DJ on radio, I had great relationships with people in the A&R departments, because back then people in the A&R departments actually handed DJs records, and we actually cared, and we actually wanted the artists to do things. So, you know, we touched the DJs, and we knew that DJs made a difference for the records, so we were always in front of them.
No doubt, very good. So I think for me personally, the first record where I really took notice of your name was Players Anthem, the Junior Mafia joint. Mm-hmm. And the first thing I thought about that record when I heard it was it just sounded huge. The bass line, the drums, it was loud and crisp, and it was just a really hot beat. So it makes me wonder, for you personally, how much time do you spend mixing and mastering the beats versus the actual creation?
I think what might have been most important back in those days was engineer selection. And because I was doing hip hop, you know, that you had these group of engineers who so-called did hip hop, and I made sure that I got an engineer who didn't do what everybody else did, so that when we met in the middle, it was, I needed to sound like this. And he understood it. I didn't have to go over and over and over again with it. I needed to sound like this. And he did it all the time. He always made it sound the way I wanted it to sound. And once you get that, the mixing process is pretty easy. But when I'm making an actual track, 90% of me making the track is making it sound the way that it should, so that when I get to mixing, it shouldn't be that confusing. So if I sample a snare, I sample the snare the way I want it to sound. So when I put the track on a back in the days we used to put them on cassettes, it actually sounded like it was supposed to sound. What you hear on Players Anthem, I can play you the original DAT of the beat, and it pretty much sounds exactly the same. Because when I mix tracks, putting them down on DATs to give to people, I mixed them the way I wanted them to sound.
Okay. What was that made on? 1200 MPC?
Yeah, SP 1200 and a S950.
Okay. You do
practically. Yeah, I did the scratches. Yeah. It's the whole record. I did the whole record.
Okay. Did you know right away it was going to be a hit? Did you hear it and go, this is it, this is hot?
How about this? I gave that track to Jay-Z. I gave it to Sauce Money. I gave it to LL Cool J. I gave it to Nas. I gave it to Akinelli. I gave it to a bunch of people. And the first time Big heard it, he was like, yo, let's go back home. Because we were on the road. And he said, yo, let's go back home. I was like, well, why are we going back home? It's only 2 days between the next show. He was like, we're going to do this record right now.
Wow.
We got on a plane, went home, and did Players Anthem. And we went back away, came back again, and then Kim and C's did their vocals, and we were in a club with it the same night as their vocals were done. And then A couple of weeks later, we were in the tunnel, and LL Cool J comes in the tunnel. He goes, yo, why you ain't give me nothing like that? And I was like, you're the first person I gave it to. He was like, I ain't never had that beat. I said, remember the silver? It's the cassette I gave you with the silver, names thing on it, with the DJ Clark King and the silver thing. He was like, yeah. I said, it's the first beat on that tape. He's like, man, I didn't hear it. I said, no, you actually probably just didn't listen, but you had that. He had that, and he had Sky's the Limit before anybody, too.
Man, really?
Actually, Jay-Z had both of those before everybody. And then I gave it to... Jay-Z got everything, and then Sauce Money got it, and then everybody else would get it after. But LL Cool J was the first person after Sauce and Jay, and they both were like, they didn't feel it, or they didn't like it.
That is a great story. But, that's crazy.
Yeah. Crazy part was to see LL in the club and he's going, yo, I need one of those. And I'm like, you had that first. LL would have, Big would have never got it if LL wanted it.
Yeah. It's amazing to think that things would have been different. Yeah.
Oh, Sky's the Limit. Akinelli wanted Sky's the Limit. Like, as soon as he heard it, but he didn't want to pay for it.
Okay.
Which was funny. It was funny back then because now you can get away with trying to tell somebody you don't want to pay, but back then there was none of that.
No, the check was getting written.
None of that.
All right.
Yeah.
So you spoke for a quick second about Jay-Z. I think everybody who's watching this is going to know that you produced 3 joints off Reasonable Doubt.
I produced 30 records on them.
Pardon?
Produced like 30 records on them.
Yeah?
But those are the 3 that went to the album.
That made the album, really?
There's plenty. Plenty.
So one of the biggest record on that album was Brooklyn's Finest, and I know you've told the story before, but I don't think a lot of people have heard it. So if you would mind sharing, how Big never would have been on that record if it wasn't for your involvement.
Yeah, Big would have never been on the record if he didn't hear it in his session. See, that's what the problem was. I had a DAT, and it was on the DAT, and on the DAT was the track that me and Big was working on that night. And then I let the DAT play out, and accidentally the song I did for Mad Skills played, the Move Your Body, and then I hit the forward button, and right after that was Brooklyn's Finest, and he was like, yo, and both of them, he wanted both, but that's the one that he got up and ran like from one room to the other room, one shoe on, almost fell down. Yo, is that for me? And I'm like, nah, it's not for you, that's Jay's. He says, man, you give this guy everything. His answer, you give him everything. So I was like, nah, it's his. He gets everything. He's my artist. You're my rapper. I DJ for you, but he's my artist. And tried to make him understand it properly. And then he was like, yo, man, I want to rap on that joint. And I'm like, for real? I was like, this is what you do. Get in the car. We're going to go to D&D, and y'all wait downstairs. I went upstairs, I tracked it. Jay got on, did what he was going to do to it. 3 verses. It was crazy. Song was crazy already. And when he comes out the booth, I was like, yo, we milling about for a while. I was like, yo, you should let Big get on this. And he's like, I don't know dudes like that. And I was like, he's my man, I deal with him. And then Dame goes, no, fuck that. We ain't giving him nothing, and I ain't paying Puff. Fuck Puff. Those words exactly. And I was like, I'm saying, but he's my man. So then Jay goes, well, if he say he want to get on, if he want to get on it, then it's all good. So then I was like, I'll be back. Go to the bathroom. I went downstairs, brought him back upstairs, and I got the looks from everybody like, oh, you a funny nigga. And I was like, well, I'm saying, Big Jay Big, and they met each other, and conversation about the song happened, and then Jay stood there for 20 minutes listening to the beat and went in the booth and recorded new vocals. So it's like in 20 minutes he thought of new vocals and where everything should go. Went in the booth and laid it down and came out and was like, yo, you ready? And Big was like, nah, I can't do that. I ain't ready for that right now. And then I gave Big a cassette and he went home. And it's funny because it took a long time for us to get back to the studio for him to do it. He did his vocals the night before we was mastering the record. So he did the vocals, and they left me in the studio with no hook. So I had to write the hook. And I tried everything, because trust me, I didn't want my voice on that record. I personally hate my voice. And I wrote the hook, and then I did the hook myself. I changed the way the voices sound on it. And then I put the little scratches where they were. But it's funny because they left me there. Like, Jay was like, I'm going to the store. I was like, you ain't give me a hook yet. He was like, do some scratches. So I'm trying to scratch it. And then Big goes, yo, I'm going to the store. And I'm like, oh, boy, I know what that means. So I knew they was never coming back. And it was just me and Damon in there. And I just tried to come up with stuff.
Yeah, and you came up with a monster, man. That's an epic record.
Cool. Thank you.
Is it one of the ones you're most proud of? Like, what, as you look back of all your accomplishments, which one really stands out to you as one of your favorites?
I think it might be Sky's the Limit.
Okay.
Brooklyn's Finest was all the way there. To me, Brooklyn's Finest is the best collaboration record ever made.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's the best song I ever made.
Okay.
It might have been the best song, I think, was Sky's the Limit. The beat was perfect, the rhymes were perfect, the content of the song, the hook, everything was perfect, and Big was perfect.
Yeah.
So I think that was it. And Big said that was his favorite song. So even if it wasn't the best sounding of whatever, if it didn't happen to be that, if it sounded like trash, but he said it was his favorite song, that changed everything. Like, as soon as he said that, that's when I was like, oh my God, I'm good. That's it. He says his favorite song. I'm good money.
Hell yeah. Man, that's terrific. So later on, I know that you worked with Mariah Carey, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did that record come to be? Was that a bit of a transition from doing the straight street records to doing something with a pop superstar?
I think what's funny is I don't think I did street records. I think I just did records. I don't think anything was like just straight gutted out. I think everything had a certain amount of appeal to it. So, I'm a DJ. I want to be able to play records in parties. And she used to come to enough of my parties, and we were friends. So when she started to do this glitter record, she was coming to parties, and the movie was made in an era where certain records were out, and she wanted to grab something from that era. So she's at the party, and I'm playing records. I was like that one? She was like, no. I was like that one? She was like, no. I was like, what about that one? When I played Candy, she just lost it. She was like, Clark, that's it. And what's funny is I had that already looped in a certain way for Big.
Oh.
That's what even made it crazy. It was for Big.
Wow.
And then so it was always on my deck for Big, but then Big passed, and I never got to give it. We never got to do that song. And then I just played it for her one day. I was like, I already got that one done. She was like, she loved it, just the way that I wear and everything that I put the beat together. And then it's what it is. It took, I think we went to the studio like 10 different times. One time we went, she just wanted to write it. Then another time we went, she just wanted to have somebody else reference it. And then another time we went, she was just referencing certain parts of it, and then with other parts of it. And then she wanted Larry Blackman to come in and see it being done and all kinds of craziness. But, it happened. It was a platinum single, I think. It was either gold or platinum single, something like that.
Yeah. Man, that's wild. Well, let's talk a little bit about a recent track that everybody is really feeling, the Superman joint with Rick Ross.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that track is really important because it's a sample-based track. It feels like the true essence of hip-hop, but it's not just a loop the whole way through. There's a lot of progressions. There's live instrumentation. Can you talk about how you put that together?
That is the fault of the Remedy, the producers that I manage and I work with. They're like accomplished musicians. And my boy Johnny introduced me to them and was like, yo, work with these cats. They'll make anything that you do sound crazy. So what they add to music makes it sound huge. And I would say that they're incredible. And that's just what happened. When you're used to one thing, people are going to expect to hear one thing. But when, that one thing gets with something else, you never know what kind of monster is going to happen from that. So I got together with The Remedy on that, and they were like amazing.
Yeah, man.
I have to blame the beautiful sound of it to the Remedy. If you erase everything down and just leave it as it was, the sample, it was right, it was hard, but they made it sound beautiful. They're geniuses. In my eyes, they're geniuses. And when you hear the new stuff that we're doing together, it's gonna be ugly.
Yeah, what are in the works, man? I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, we've done. We've went underground and we've gotten together in the studio practically every day and just make music until we're going to have a certain amount of tracks, and then I'm just going to start going, oh, by the way, you need something here, you need something here, oh, you need something here. And I'm not going to give records away that can be questioned. It's going to be like, here, you have to do this record. And I'm paying attention. That's all. And I won't do anything that sounds like what's going on with everyone else. You know what I'm saying? With that record, didn't sound like anything. It sounded like beautiful music.
Yeah. Yes, it did.
But, yes, I will say The Remedy, they're monsters, because if you take everything that they did to it off, it's just a beat. But they made it like beautiful music. So I'm blessed and honored to be able to work with them, and I hold them at a standard that I would practically dare any producer to try and question them guys. Because one, they're engineers, two, they're accomplished musicians, and their minds musically, like if I stepped away from them, they'd be producing Justin Bieber, they'd be producing Adele, they'd be producing the best of the best singers, because that's where their minds are. Their minds aren't even in hip-hop. You know what I'm saying? They don't think hip-hop. They think great big records. And because of that, I'm able to, shift their minds a little bit, because I'm straight, I love music, but like my heart is gutter music. I want to hear good shit. So, I can make a beat and it can feel nice and hard, but it'll be beautiful music. But when I get with them, it's just like, oh, that's a movie. So, the good part was when I handed it to Ross, I said, this is what I need you to do. I need you to take everybody who's in the studio with you out of the studio. You get in the studio by yourself, play the beat, you call me. He called me back. I was like, do not put any of your friends on the record. He was like, what do you mean? I said, no other rappers, no nothing. If anything, you put a singer on it. He was like, well, Trey's in the next room. I was like, well, you can put Trey Songz on it if you want. And I think they did a hook, and it was very, very good. But then I think somebody at Def Jam might have said, well, Neo got a new record coming. Go to Vegas, put Neo on the record. So that's the way that happened. But the sound is not going to sound like it used to, because now I have The Remedy, and they're coming to fix the music.
You guys make a hell of a combination, man. I can't wait to hear more.
Oh, it's about to be very ugly. I'm actually a little nervous because I don't know if we're gonna. The reason why we just didn't get the next guy and go in is because that was the first. It happened so fast that I was like, we gotta make music. We can't take people and go in. We gotta make music and start handing people records, because if we go in, everybody's gonna be looking for the same thing. So my thing is, we can't bring somebody in the studio and make them a record. We got to start making our own records and saying, this is what you have to do to this record. Therefore, we're producing it and we're just not making tracks.
Yeah.
So that's what we're on. And that's what I try to instill in any producer that I come near. Be a producer, don't be a track maker. Know what you want to hear when the record's when you're producing it. When you're making the track, know what you want to hear, so that when you give it to an artist, you're producing, and they should be able to take direction from you because you're the music.
Yeah, that's solid advice, man. Well, let me switch it up for a minute. Step away from the music. I understand that you had put out your own sneaker line.
No, I didn't. I designed sneakers for Nike. I did a bunch of sneakers for Nike. So I never had a sneaker that had my name on it. I mean, should I say, there was never one dropped. This is the DJ Clark Kent shoe in the United States. Never happened. In Asia, in China, there was a DJ Clark Kent version of Air Force 25s, but that was a small drop, and Air Force 25s are real serious over there, so it worked out. They sold out immediately. But in the United States, I never put my name on a shoe. I just designed shoes that had themes that I came up with, and so I guess they worked out.
So is that like a labor of love for you? Is that like another revenue stream to you? How does that?
I mean, there's definitely money to be made, but that's not the mission when I'm doing that. The money making mission is being a consultant, a brand consultant. Like, I'm a brand consultant to a bunch of brands, and Nike was the first. And what made me able to work with other brands is the fact that I worked with Nike and it worked. Like, if it didn't work, if there wasn't a reason to work with me, then I guess I wouldn't know. I guess that's where the word tastemaker comes from. I don't consider myself a tastemaker. I consider myself a guy who just likes to be fresh. So if I see a brand and to me it's not fresh, I'll deem that it's not fresh, and I'll speak on it like it's not fresh. A brand will want to ask me, why isn't it? And then if I give my answer and they can fix it and things turn around for them, then I've given the right answer. And I've done that consistently for about 4 or 5 years now. But I don't really consider myself a tastemaker. Who can make taste? Either you have it or you don't.
Okay.
But plenty of sneakers. I've done plenty of sneakers. Plenty of packages, plenty of shoes, yeah.
That's very cool.
And
I would think it gives you a degree of freedom, right, to really focus on what drives you creatively rather than just chasing, the next beat placement that somebody wanted to hear, like the last beat.
Absolutely. But again, like, if we switch it back to music, my idea is do not make the same beat twice. Otherwise, then everybody's going to keep looking for you. Like, I don't want beats to just sound the same. Otherwise, you're going to get pigeonholed into doing that same beat. And then once you try to switch off, they're going to be like, oh, what is he doing? He doesn't, you know what I'm saying? I don't feel like I have a sound. I just want great music. Can I make a beat that feels like a down south beat? Yeah, but it's still going to have the edge of a New York producer, or, it's going to have what New Yorkers do to a beat attached to it. It's still going to be a New Yorked out, Southern feeling. Might have the 808 hi-hats rolling fast, but, I just love great music, and I strive to make great music. So if I get involved in a shoe project, I strive to make shoes that people will like, because I think a consumer all the time.
That's what's up, man. Very cool. So you working on any projects right now? Anything we should be checking for in the upcoming months?
Matthew Ragazzino. He's a new artist. If you check nowright.com, they're dropping something on him at least once a week. All the websites are really getting at him. He's a great rhymer, and that's what I want. I want to cultivate what's actually missing in this thing we call hip-hop. MCs aren't MCs anymore, they're rappers. I want to bring back the MC, and the only way to bring back the MC is to force him to actually use his lyrical ability, and that challenge is waning. So I'm on some you better work, and I just want good rhymes, because if I realize that if somebody doesn't make it their business to cultivate the actual art and the craft of being an MC, then we're gonna forget what it's like for somebody to be nice, and then it's gonna go away, and the nicest guy we've ever heard is gonna be Jay-Z and Big, and then what's it going to be after that? Like, it shouldn't be 20 years from now we're still saying Jay-Z is the nicest, even though, respectfully, he's that good. But it should come to a point where we're like, okay, there's somebody better. You know what I mean?
But somebody in the conversation, right?
Yeah, please be in the conversation. Please become as prolific as him. Please become as resilient musically as him. Like, please look at that barometer and go, okay, I gotta raise that barometer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, do that. Please think you want to be better. Like, think you want to think harder. You know what I'm saying? And hip hop as a culture doesn't, or should I say rap music doesn't teach rap music to rap music. So, like, when you got a rapper who comes out now and they don't know what Run DMC was, and they don't know what Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, or they never heard the message, that's almost like blasphemy. So there's plenty of rappers who've never heard these things. That means they weren't taught rap. They weren't taught MCing. They weren't taught this culture that we built properly. And if you're not telling MCs to be better at their craft, then you're perpetuating foolishness too.
Amen, man. Amen. Yo, so we've been going on for a minute now. Clark, thanks so much for the opportunity to chop it up with you, man. You've made some amazing. Are you cool?
You got all your questions out? Or if there's anything else you want to ask, make sure you ask it, because I'm not scared to answer.
No, man, I think we got some real gems here today, man. You've really dropped some knowledge and shared some good information for our members. And like I said, for me personally, it's a real privilege to chop it up with you. I've been on your beats for a long time, man. Thanks very much.
Oh, there's gonna be a lot more in a second.
Yeah.
We've been beating these machines up in there.
No doubt. Can't wait, man.
Beating up the machines. Most of you guys use computers, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, software is big, but I mean, machine is hot right now.
Oh boy.
You're on the still on the MPC SP?
I'm on SP 1200.
Yeah.
MPC 5000. I got a machine. But the best of me comes off of SP 1200.
Yeah.
That's where
nothing else has got that sound, man. There's no doubt about that.
Right. The funny thing about the machine is that you can tune it to sound like a 1200.
Yeah.
Because people don't know that. Machine, you can do a lot of things with it, but you know, if I don't know, I'm old school, and in the center of my studio, like the main machine in my studio is the SP 1200, because my drums have to sound a certain way. They have to be very, very hard, and they're always hard. My drums are always hard.
Yeah, that's what.
Cool. I want to say congratulations to all of your producers and Dynamic Producer, because I have a lot of respect for what Felicia's been doing and what she's been able to do, and I hope all of them strive and prosper to be incredible music makers, not hip-hop producers, not R&B producers, not pop producers, but incredible music makers, because music is way bigger than any of the labels that they put on it. So strive to be music makers and great music makers. Strive to be dynamic producers.
Thanks very much for that, man. That's very cool.
It's all good.
All right, man. Again, appreciate your time. DJ Clark Kent on Dynamic Producer Chop Sessions. This is Frost Gamble. Again, for Dynamic Producer, where we help producers make better music, learn the business, and advance their careers. For more info, check out www.dynamicproducer.com. Peace.
Peace.